history in Game 7. The home team has won 79 of 96 games, which means the home team has won 82% of the time in Game 7s. Spurs control the opening tip, and as is traditional, this crowd will stand until the Hornets are able to score.
Well, it's Game 7. They might stand the whole game.
Ginobili rejected by West. Ginobili on the recovery could not convert. Here comes Paul. Accelerates, lost the handle, was deflected away. Chandler missed the tip, rebounded by Alberto.
Defensive end already. David West looks like he's moving a little bit better. 2 blocks on Ginobili.
Parker played by Paul. Ginobili wheels it to the corner. Here's Bowen off the dribble. Rebounded by Chandler.
And that's really not Bowen's game. Taking the ball off the dribble into the paint, trying to create something.
In Game 6, you'll recall, the Spurs got off to the fast start. In San Antonio, they shot 70% from the field. Peterson can't hit. It's tipped home by Chandler.
Well, when you get into the paint and Tim Duncan came over to help on that drive, Tyson Chandler wide open for the tip-in lay-in.
Alberto comes over to set the screen. Single coverage here at the start on Duncan. Now Peterson comes over for the double, and there's that bank shot by Duncan.
And that's one thing Greg Popovich was trying to convey to us in the meeting before the game, that Tim Duncan is going to look to be aggressive early, and before the double team gets there, look for Tim to try to split the double team and try to be aggressive offensively.
And as we mentioned on the pregame show, Duncan bothered by the flu the 3 games. David West knocks down his first attempt. In Game 1, Duncan just 1 of 9, 5 points, matching a career playoff low. And then in Game 6, he had the 20 and 15. Game 5, 23 rebounds in that loss here in New Orleans. Again, the double with Stojakovic helping out. Now Peterson comes over as the second man. Ginobili shoots and hits from downtown.
Well, if you're going to double team Tim Duncan, you're going to have to come quickly, but you've got to come with size. And Peja Stojakovic comes down that time, but his hands are at his side. You've got to come and bring some length.
Duncan looks like a quarterback just finding receivers. Stojakovic with 3. Peja Stojakovic has had some big games in this series. Here at home, not the case in San Antonio.
Well, he's really struggled with Bowen on him, and that's a welcome sight of Byron Scott.
Ginobili again shoots the 3. Alberto trying to back tap, but it's handled by Paul. We're just underway, 3 minutes in. Hornets up by a point. Stojakovic to a step back, not a good shot, he forced it. Feeling good after he hit that 3.
No, I don't think he got his legs under him on that step back.
Now single coverage. Duncan is fouled. Peterson came over to help, and a reach-in is called.
Well, you see, as this double team is coming down by Peterson, you're going to have to come to Tim Duncan's body. Peterson comes as the ball is knocked away right there. And look where Peterson comes from. He's coming from the outside hand. You've got to come and almost join like a chain link fence. You've got to join hands with the defender and Tyson Chandler so he can't split the double team.
Duncan, a 73% free throw shooter during the regular season, which is much improved, but in 11 postseason games, he's down to 62%. And as always, Tim takes a lot of time at that free throw line.
They'll never call it the 10-second rule, but you know, he'll probably hear the ear of the crowd as he gets near 10 seconds. I just wonder what takes so long to shoot a free throw.
Well, easy for you to say.
Get up there and shoot them.
Duncan takes his time, but very pleased to hit on both, and the Spurs lead 7-6. Deflected to the backcourt by the Spurs.
That's the best I've seen Tony Parker trying to deny Chris Paul the ball.
West could not hit. Tony Parker celebrated a 26th birthday this past Saturday. Chandler jumps out at him. Here's Duncan off a nice pass from Ginobili.
Pick and roll. Tim Duncan rolls. Ginobili does a good job of looking over the defense right there. Good hands by Tim Duncan.
You look at this series, all 6 games have been decisive. It has been a home court series. Paul rims out. First 2 games here in New Orleans, won by the Hornets by 19 and 18 points. San Antonio winning at home by 11 and 20. Back here for Game 5, a blowout. Hornets by 22. Game 6 in San Antonio, the Spurs won big by 19. Paul with the steal, turns Parker around, and comes up short, but West is right there.
And even though Chris Paul will not get an assist nor a basket on that, it's because of his dribble drive penetration that allowed David West to follow up jam.
Duncan looks to set a pick. Chandler very active. Continues to double. Duncan lost it. Here's Paul with Ginobili back. Beautifully done. And you can see the patience of Paul. He waited for teammates to come down court and then succeeded with the lob for Chandler.
It's the decisions that Chris Paul has made throughout his young career. It's the reason why these Hornets are one of the toughest teams to play, especially at home.
Parker knocks it down. Spurs with an 11-10 lead. Chris Paul has had a magnificent playoff run going back to that first round series as West hits on the turnaround. So he's opened up, connecting on 3 of his first 4.
I guess those 3 days really for time off have helped that back. The mobility is back.
Ginobili rebounded by Alberto. Beautiful pass. Ginobili too strong. Back come the Hornets. We're halfway through the first. Paul, yes. That's his first field goal. And a timeout call.
That's foundation. Marv, that's all well and good, but I don't think it'll be forgiven anytime soon in Phoenix, nor here in New Orleans.
No, I don't think the Phoenix Suns as a group have the same sentiments. Remember that led to the skirmish resulting in the 1-game suspensions for Amari Stoudemire and Boris Diaw. Spurs went on to win that series over the Suns in 6.
Well, is Ori going to donate his championship ring? Because it definitely might have been the Phoenix Suns, if not for that incident.
Tony Parker came from the blind side, came up with a block. And Alberto recovers on yet another deflection. We've already had 6 lead changes. We have 5 minutes remaining in the first. San Antonio down by 3. Bowen is open for 3. Yes.
You talk about a team with experience and veterans and knowing one another. As soon as Alberto got that basketball, he had the presence of mind to know that Bruce Bowen was in the short corner 3.
And Alberto is an excellent passer, as we saw in the first quarter the other night in Game 6. He's also done a good job against West throughout the series. West somehow was able to release that shot. He's off to the fast start. That's his 4th field goal. He's at 4 of 6 from the field.
And normally the first thing to go when you have a bad back is your legs. And it looks like he's really moving his legs well early in this first quarter.
Alberto gets the roll. I mentioned in Game 6, Alberto got up several beautiful passes to set up Tim Duncan for easy layups. He had 4 assists in the first quarter. Offensive foul, says Steve Javie. So the ball is back to San Antonio. Foul on Peterson.
Well, the questions coming into Game 7 was the mobility of David West. You see right here, he faces up for an easy jump shot, and he runs the floor for the follow-up dunk. And then right here, this is the true test on how the back is feeling. Roberto pushes in that back, a nice little fadeaway soft shot. So already, David West, 4 of 6, 8 points in this first quarter.
Both coaches make changes. Denaro Parker, who has not shot well in this series, coming on for Mo Peterson. Kurt Thomas with the ball, just checked in along with Ime Udoka, who has shot exceptionally well. Duncan, yes.
And rarely do you see that by Tim Duncan. A down screen by Tony Parker, a guard, and he comes off like he's Rip Hamilton or something. Nice little mid-range shot.
Duncan with 8 points. And Dick Bavetta indicating some chips of ice or popcorn that have fallen.
Steve Jabbie knew where it came from, but didn't know who was the culprit. He went over there and warned them that they could be caused a game delay.
So it was not a fan. It came from the Hornets bench. Did I mention that Craig Sager has been banned from talking to Super Hugo, the Hornets mascot?
I'm just glad that Super Hugo had nothing to do with that. Poor guy's been thrown underneath the bus enough in this series.
See, he won you over. He came over, shook your
Yes,
hands.
he did. I'm cool with Hugo now.
San Antonio with a 2-point lead as we come up on 3 minutes to go in this first quarter. Parker kept alive by Thomas. Duncan off the double, had it slapped away. Good hustle by Parker, but he knocked it out of bounds.
This is the most I've seen Tim Duncan be aggressive before the double teams all series. Understanding he was a little bit under the weather in games 1 and 2, but he is not settling, waiting for the double team to come.
Udoka, he's had the hot hand, try to get it down low. And it's a jump ball. Timeout is taken by the Hornets with just under 3 to go. San Antonio played in a Game 7, his last playoff series loss. Tim Duncan went for 41 points, 15 rebounds, and 6 assists in that defeat.
And people fail to realize if it wasn't for that Ginobili foul on Dirk Nowitzki right there, that easily could have been another championship, as they probably would have went against Miami and won that series for Tim Duncan. And, you know, I applaud this guy because obviously he was struggling in game 1 and 2. And never once did you hear Tim Duncan come out and say, I was sick, I wasn't at my best. He let everyone else do his talking for him.
Off the tie-up. Jump ball between Duncan and Pargo. And it's controlled by San Antonio. Tim Duncan, it is his 3rd Game 7 over the course of his career. Udoka, yes, he line drives it. What an impressive series Ime Udoka has had, and that's why he's in the rotation in front of Michael Finley here tonight.
Well, that's what Greg Popovich says because of his recent play. His minutes are up from games 4 through 6 up to 21 minutes now. And 5 of 5 in game 6, 13 points, 2 of 2 from long distance.
Shot clock to 2. Stojakovic had it batted away. Parker putting the speed on. Parker stays with him. Here's Thomas. Rebound comes to Chandler. Myron Scott has Paul and Pargo in the backcourt. Stojakovic up front with Chandler and West. Here's the lead. Oh, Chandler mishandled, but was able to back tap it. Stojakovic, 4-3. Run down by Thomas.
Well, if I'm Pager, when you get Bruce Bowen up in the air, it's okay to take a couple dribbles in and knock down an 18-footer. You don't have to settle for the long ball.
7-0 run by the Spurs. Duncan off the fake. Offensive foul, says Scott Foster.
And that's good defensive presence there by Gennaro Carver right there. Understanding that Tim Duncan right there trying to put the ball down right here where he should have took the shot. Takes the ball off the dribble right there. Pargo does a good job of sliding his feet over and taking the charge right in the chest.
Otto Ginobili is back, coming on for Tony Parker. Leads with a field goal. 1.5 minutes left in this first quarter. Marv Albert with Reggie Miller, Craig Sager. We're in New Orleans as David West continues the hot shooting. 5 of 8. He has 10 points. Remember the last game here in New Orleans. West with playoff career highs. Duncan set the pick. Bowen for 3. Rebounded by Thomas. Udoka from downtown. Thomas with another rebound.
Offensive rebounds. You cannot give this team with Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili on the floor multiple looks.
Duncan. And Thomas makes the play. That shot was off the mark, but Thomas able to follow it through.
Well, 3 offensive rebounds for the Spurs and a bucket. This is something that Byron Scott is going to have to address.
Half minute to go in the first. West off balance and foul. Late whistle, but David West will go to the line. He was fouled in the act. Foul on Bowen. That is his first. National coverage of the NBA playoffs continues tomorrow on ESPN, coming off the epic yesterday. It'll be game 1 of the Pistons and the Celtics. Coverage beginning 7:30 p.m. Also includes the NBA Draft Lottery. That's tomorrow. Wednesday, right here on TNT, game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. We will be in Los Angeles as the Lakers take on the winner of tonight's game. And then Saturday on ABC, game 3 of the Celtics and the Pistons. Coverage at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. How about Paul Pierce, 41 points. LeBron James with 45. Celtics have won 14 straight at home, 8-0 in the postseason. Reg, obviously they've had problems on the road, 0-6 in the playoffs away from home.
Well, a fantastic scoring duel by 2 of the superstars in this league, in LeBron James and Paul Pierce. But my question is going to be, are they going to be fatigued going into game 1 tomorrow? Detroit is rested. Chauncey Billups will be back after not playing the last 2 games for the Pistons. Will they be drained?
Rodney Stuckey did an excellent job, the rookie filling in for the injured Billups. Detroit and Boston, game 1 in Boston tomorrow night. Shot clock out of 5 and Dick Pavetta calling the foul. It's a non-shooting foul, though they had a foul to give. So San Antonio with 7 seconds remaining in this first quarter. Michael Finley comes on now for Kurt Thomas. Greg Popovich looking for another shooter. Parker, played by Parker. Well, nice fake by Parker. Can he get it off? No. And here's Paul from the backcourt, and he is fouled. A bad play by Manu Ginobili.
On the last play, I guess Manu got a little feisty.
Feisty is how you put it? They plan to double team Tim Duncan every time he has the ball down low, but somehow you've been able to get him loose tonight. How have you been able to do that?
Well, we're just trying to move him around the floor a little bit more and not just have him catch it in the post. But be that as it may, he's going to be there a lot, and we're going to have to make shots.
Reggie, a diplomatic reaction by head coach Greg Popovich. Manu Ginobili was feisty in making the contact with Chris Paul, and Spurs very fortunate that the contact took place following the videotape review after time had run out. Melvin Eli, who just checked in, missing on that attempt to open up this second quarter. Bonzi Wells has come on. Wells is guarding Udoka. Robert Horry hearing it from the crowd. He just came on. Horry played by West. Duncan getting good position down low. Here's the double. Ginobili with time running down. Rebounded by Udoka. Ime Udoka, who, as you mentioned in Game 6, was terrific. 5 for 5, including 3 of 3 from three-point range. 13 points, 21 minutes. Game 4, hit 5 of 8, including 3 threes. Here's Eli getting position on Duncan. And Finley with the rebound and took a shot. Foul is called. And Finley shake it up. He was fouled by Pargo. Well, at the end of that first quarter, here's Steve Javie as we listen in with the explanation to Byron Scott regarding that last second attempt by Chris Paul.
You watched it. The red light comes on. We couldn't get the clock. The red light comes on prior to the contact, so we can't award him the foul. 3 shots.
Here's a steal by Bonzi Wells. Horry ran by him. Good move by Horry. Did not want to commit a foul, but it bothered Wells.
And yet the Hornets bench has not scored in this game.
Philly's pass picked off, and then Philly called on the foul. Let's check in with Craig Sager.
Well, Marv, Reggie just mentioned that the Hornets bench has not scored. We also see a major substitution difference right here. Chris Paul normally comes out, takes his rest at the start of the second quarter. David West is the only starter that usually starts the second quarter with the second unit. But tonight, Byron Scott has decided to go with Chris Paul so far the entire way. Can't afford to take him out, even to give him a rest to start the second.
Well, Byron Scott telling us earlier, Chris might go 45 here tonight.
Well, I kind of equate this to Major League Baseball when a starting pitcher goes to the bullpen and they're available at any point during the game. Chris Paul is going to be available during any point in this game.
Shot clock is at 5. Here's the double on Paul. West played by Alberto. Went to the crossover. Rebounded by Finley. Spurs up by 5. 2 minutes gone by in the second quarter.
You talk about the bench production. What about the Spurs? Ime Udoka 5 points. Kurt Thomas only 2, but 5 rebounds as Alberto knocks down another shot.
That's his second field goal. So he has played well. He started the series off the bench. He's been in the starting lineup the last couple of games. Fargo trying to get it down low. It's a kick ball.
And speaking with Byron Scott, he's saying Pargo is the guy that has to be the energizer, that one X factor for the Hornets. He's really struggled in this series. He's got to come back to life like he did against Dallas, averaging 14 points in that series.
And this after a solid regular season. Paul not able to hit, but does on the funnel. That's his second field goal. San Antonio with a 5-point lead. Parker. Eli with the rebound. There's Pargo, got the step. One-handed by Horry. Greg Popovich telling us he's hoping for some magic from Robert Horry, who's come up big in these type of situations. Horry reaching in, got a piece of it for the steal. Timeout is called by the Spurs, and Greg Popovich is upset.
But what he's so upset about is the careless turnovers, especially right there by Manu Ginobili.
It's a 27-22 lead for the Spurs. 7th deciding game of this Western Conference semifinal series. Lakers waiting in the wings. Overall, going back to the regular season, the Lakers have won 16 of their last 19 games. Horry is open for 3. Yes! Robert Horry from downtown, from the elbow to extend to a 30-22 lead. Biggest lead of the night for the Spurs.
Well, what did Popovich said? Maybe they could get a couple points out of Big Shot Bob tonight. And right there, pick and pop right there.
Eli stripped and fouled.
Well, what are you going to do when you run a pick and roll with Manu Ginobili and Robert Horry right there? And either you've got to switch that or you've got to hard hedge it. But if you're going to hard hedge it, you've got to have someone running at Robert Horry, because this is all he can do now in the twilight of his career is pick and pop.
Melvin Eli hitting the first of 2. Go to the expanded TNT Overtime at NBA.com and check out Reggie's Mailbag, presented by BlackBerry. Reggie Miller will answer all your questions concerning his clutch shooting and his over-the-top respect for courtside celebrities. TNT Overtime at NBA.com, where you can get TNT NBA Thursday 7 days a week. The call is away from the ball. Hornets really struggling here in the second quarter. Only 1 of 7 from the field. Foul is called on Wells. That's his first. Tyson Chandler is back, coming on for Melvin Eli.
Well, I knew the benches were going to be critical in this Game 7. 1 point for the Hornets, 10 for the Spurs, and it's a luxury that Greg Popovich has as Bonzi Wells kind of chips over Robert Horry for yet another team foul for the Hornets.
That's team foul number 3 on New Orleans. And now Greg Popovich continues to shuffle. Ime Udoka, Bruce Bowen, and Tim Duncan coming on.
Well, both coaches are going to have a tight leash with their benches and who plays right now in Game 7. You're going to ride these starters even though the Western Conference Finals starts on Wednesday. It doesn't matter. You've got to get there first. It takes 45, 48 minutes. Players are going to play it.
Shot clock to 5. Here's Parker with a teardrop. Pargo on the run. Pargo is fouled. Fouled from behind the basket. Will not count. So Gennaro Pargo, putting the speed on, was hit by Bowen.
Yeah, but if I'm Pargo, I've got to have the presence of mind to know that I'm going to take the bump and continue to try to go up for the lay-in. He gives the pass off, and it's not a shooting foul.
Pargo.
It's an empty possession right there where he at least could have been at the worst case scenario shooting 2 free throws.
Touched on earlier, he has not shot well in this series. Only 11 of 45 coming into tonight. Wells now guarding Parker. Udoka. Here's Bowen on a quick release from downtown. Just didn't beat the shot clock.
Good presence of mind by Bowen, understanding that the shot clock was running down.
Spurs have opened up a 10-point lead. There's the lob for Chandler. Nicely done by Paul. Third field goal for Tyson Chandler.
And Robert Horry is telling Tony Parker, that's your rotation over, because if we're going to trap Chris Paul and get the ball out of his hands, you've got to rotate over to take Tyson Chandler.
Here comes Pargo. Parker putting the move on Paul, got the step, that counts, and a foul. Beautiful maneuver by Tony Parker.
And it's because he kept the ball so low on Chris Paul, who was reaching in the whole way. The pass was kind of low coming out of the double team by Tim Duncan. Parker does a good job of keeping the ball low and putting Chris Paul on his right shoulder.
Foul committed by Paul, that is his first. Now Peja Stojakovic returns along with David West.
See the 2 difference in series, almost 30 points in round 1 versus the Phoenix Suns. Got to understand, now that he's been guarding Chris Paul in this second round, it's kind of taken a lot out of him offensively. Only 20 points.
Coming up on 6.5 remaining in this first half. This the best the Spurs have played here in New Orleans. Still lots of time remaining, obviously. Paul able to go glass.
And now on that pick and roll, they don't trap, they lose communication, and Chris Paul gets an easy lay-in.
Parker. And Peterson actually blocked Horry. And the Spurs were looking for a foul on Peterson. There was no call as Horry went flying into the bench, which the crowd enjoyed.
Well, it's incidental contact right here as Morris Peterson was letting the ball go out. Robert Horry trying to save it. But of course they're going to cheer that up in lieu of what happened in Game 6 in the back pick on David West.
Hornets down by 9. Here's Paul, draws the contact, and he'll head to the line. And Chris Paul able to probe off screens to find the shot. Foul is called on Horry. Just under 6 left in this first half. How about Robert Horry knocking down a 3? Horry, a member of 7 NBA championship teams, 2 with Houston, 3 with the Lakers, and 2 with San Antonio.
Thomas off the bench alone. And what about running these San Antonio Spurs off the 3-point line 5 of 10, 50%. They are a plus 15 from long distance while they're up 9 points.
And in game 6, the Spurs 11 of 21 from beyond that three-point line. 6 threes for Ginobili, 3 for Udoka. Chris Paul missing on both free throws.
What happens when you're at home and you kind of get behind a little bit in a game 7 situation going against the champs? You press a little bit.
Shot clock down to 5. Ginobili. Back comes Paul. Stojakovic for 3. It's a 6-point San Antonio lead. There's Peterson over to help off a double. Shot clock to 3. Udoka. The Hornets back in possession. That three-pointer by Stojakovic got this crowd going.
Well, it's, again, that transition 3 with no Bowen on the floor, getting lost in transition.
Peterson for 3. Peterson coming off a 1 for 5 in game 6, but he's hit a host of big threes in this series. Knocked down 4 from downtown in game 5, an 8-0 run by the Hornets. The San Antonio lead is down to 3. Here's Ori. Chased down by Chandler. West on the post going at Ori. Paul got the step. Yes, and the foul.
How about Chris Paul in the presence of mind to close the gap on Udoka right here. He gets by him a couple steps, slows down so Udoka can find the contact. Nice presence of mind to concentrate on that lay-in.
10 unanswered by the Hornets. So Paul back to the line. He missed his first 2. Chris Paul, usually a solid free throw shooter. 0 for 3 at the line. San Antonio's lead is down to 1. Udoka for 3. Back tap by Alberto.
Yet another offensive rebound for the Spurs.
And Udoka's pass came up short. Parker went for the steal. Here's Paul. Stojakovic gets it off. The Hornets have come roaring back. 12 consecutive points. Pedro Stojakovic, following excellent games 1 and 2, here in New Orleans has struggled, in particular after Greg Popovich made the switch, putting Bruce Bowen on him. So we've seen a 2 for 7, a 3 for 9, a 3 for 8, but he's had the hot hand in this first half.
Well, how about clearing space for yourself? Ginobili crowding him. He goes for the steal right there. One dribble to his right, clears the space, knocks down the 12-footer.
Major talking with head coach Byron Scott. Byron Scott, a member of 3 Laker championship teams, and he's played in 7 Game 7s in his 14-year playing career. But as he pointed out to us, this his first Game 7 as a head coach.
Well, I believe this is his second as a head coach, and it was a pleasure for me to have 3 Game 7s with Byron when we were in the Indiana Pacers, and all that experience that he brings.
Ginobili. That's a three for Manu Ginobili. Only his second field goal, one for his previous 8, and that ends the New Orleans run. Here's Paul, kicking it out. West for 3. Rebounded by Parker. Paul wanted a foul on Parker. Parker goes all the way. And he draws the foul. That counts. And Tony Parker will head to the line.
You talk about Tony Parker. Both of these point guards putting pressure on the defense on one another.
Started right before the All-Star break, and this is the site of the season's NBA All-Star game. That was a big weekend for this team. The season ticket renewal at 90%, we're told, and they've sold more than 3,500 new season ticket packages. So this is a revitalized franchise, a team that had been moving around after Hurricane Katrina. Stojakovic comes up short. Played the last couple of years for the most part in Oklahoma City.
They'll be doing a good job there, staying attached to Peja.
There's Duncan. Oh, that was a difficult shot. It appeared he had no angle on it.
Well, that's his first 2 points since getting off to that hot 8-point start in that first quarter.
Duncan, 10 points. He's hit 4 of 6 from the field. Spurs up by 6. Here's the lob again, and Chandler could not convert. We get a whistle, though. Parker hit the deck, and a foul was called.
Well, how are they calling this on Tony Parker? They're saying, as official Scott Foster is saying, he backed into Tyson Chandler. David West trying to throw the lob here. And, wondering where the foul is on Tony Parker.
So 2 shots to Chandler. Let's check in with Ernie Johnson back in our Atlanta studio. All right, thanks, Ernie. Chandler hits 1 of 2. The Hornets just 4 of 9 at the foul line. Chandler was trying to draw the foul. Thought it was pushed by Duncan. Here's Ginobili for 3.
Well, when you're as unselfish as Tim Duncan and a willing passer, you get the ball into him and you just spot over. Ginobili doing a good job of relocating and finding a wide open spot.
Spurs now 7 of 14 from beyond that 3-point line. Stojakovic rebounded by Duncan. We're coming up on a minute left in the half. Ginobili again. Manu Ginobili catching fire after a slow start. That's his 4th 3-pointer, and Byron Scott takes a 20.
New Orleans 22nd timeout.
The Spurs with a 49-38 lead, able to bounce back after that 12-0 run by the Hornets.
He's starting to get his rhythm.
Yeah. How many straight Ginobili's hit? Hit his last 3 shots. Yeah, 1. Okay. After starting out 1 of 8 from the field, Manu Ginobili has knocked down his last 3 shots.
Well, you're going to have to run shooters off their spot. And right there, Chris Paul was slow to close out. You got to run them off that 3-point line.
Spurs have answered that 12-0 Hornet run with a 13-1 spurt. They lead by 11. Down to 45 seconds to go in the first half. Peterson for 3. Oh, look out. A sloppy play by the Spurs as Parker lost sight of the outlet.
10 turnovers for the Spurs. And you would think in a Game 7 situation, the veteran Game 7 tested Spurs committing 10 turnovers. They only average 12 a game.
Paul with a crossover. Comes back to Paul. Here's Peterson. Well, that turnover cost San Antonio.
Well, Peterson doing a good job of not settling for a three right there, taking the ball off the dribble, trying to get into the alleys of the basket.
Coming on 10 seconds remaining in the half. A fraction of a second differential. Here's Ginobili. Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Final seconds of the first half. Paul stumbling but hits.
He said, I told my starters, we got to do it right here in the third quarter. You guys may have to play every minute the rest of the half, but right now, the third quarter, we have to have a sense of urgency.
Well, the team that has won the third quarter has won all 6 games of this series. See San Antonio in wins and losses. How about New Orleans? Averaging 31 points in their 3 victories here at home. Different story in San Antonio. West played by Duncan. West with the step.
It kind of lulled Tim Duncan to sleep right there when he pulled the basketball behind his head. He got that first step ahead of Tim Duncan.
14 points for David West. And there is single coverage against Duncan. He draws the foul, so Tyson Chandler picks up his first.
And he has 5 to give, and that's pretty good defense by Tyson Chandler. He cannot let Tim Duncan go middle. If anything, you've got to force him baseline and hopefully try to get help from David West there.
Duncan has hit his 2 previous free throws. The Los Angeles Lakers waiting in the wings. The winner tonight advances to the Western Conference Final, which will open up Wednesday at Staples in LA. The Lakers wrapped up their series this past Friday night in Utah, beating the Jazz in 6. How about home teams in the conference semifinals now at 22-2 going into tonight? The only visitors to win. Detroit did it at Orlando. Lakers doing it at Utah, which wrapped up that series.
Parity. There's parity throughout this league. Everyone's playing at the same level.
West not able to hit. Alberto with the rebound. But last season in the semis, it was only a 13-10 edge for the home team. And I think you felt there was parity last year. It's hard to explain what has occurred in these semifinals. Shot clock down to 4. Duncan, yes.
Like I said, Tyson Chandler could not have played Tim Duncan any better than that. You made him turn to the baseline side there.
Chandler. And the foul is called on Duncan. Chandler shaken up.
It looked like he took a shot from Alberto first in the face, in the nose area as he was receiving that basketball. Might have been the eye right there as Mo Peterson tries to get Chandler the ball right there, and it was Tim Duncan. Look at this, right? This is pretty good defense right here. I mean, there's not more you can ask of your young center and Tyson Chandler and guarding a future Hall of Famer right there. You make a pump fake, make him turn baseline side.
West again to the crossover. He is fouled by Alberto.
Connie Hawkins-like right there, taking the move off the dribble with one hand. David West trying to assert himself in the second half of this game.
Yes, it was shades of the Hawk.
Shades of the Hawk right here, putting it in one hand and just going to work. You would appreciate that. You're a Connie Hawkins fan.
Absolutely. Connie out of Brooklyn. Had great days in the old ABA and then finished up with the Phoenix Suns. West 3 of 3 at the line. He has 15 points. Hey, this June, step inside one very funny house. Don't miss all new episodes of Tyler Perry's House of Pain. It all starts this June only on TBS.
Very funny, my friend. Very.
$55-46, San Antonio. New Orleans able to reel off 12 unanswered at one stretch in the third quarter. The Spurs came back with a 13-1 run, and they've led by as many as 11. Duncan had it slapped away. Here's Duncan. Excellent pressure by the Hornets.
Well, I think Duncan recognized late that Stojakovic was guarding him. He should have went quicker.
West from Paul. Duncan with the rebound. Charles Barkley mentioning in the studio at halftime, the crowd doesn't sound quite as loud as usual here in New Orleans. Ginobili misfires on that three, and he made the point. It appears that the crowd is nervous, and the Hornets are not hearing that same high decibel level that we heard in the three previous home games. Peterson way off, rebounded by Duncan.
Well, of course they're nervous, but you got to give a lot of credit to Greg Popovich and the Spurs for taking the crowd out of the game.
Parker. Duncan keeps it alive. Spurs continue to do the job on the offensive glass. That's 10 rebounds for Duncan. Once again, single coverage. See if Duncan can take advantage off the fake. Back comes Paul. They try to cut him off. They cannot. West recovers. Paul actually got himself into trouble down low. Now the crowd into it. They're standing here at the arena. And Chris Paul says that someone grabbed his jersey, and Steve Javie will take the call. It's foul on Parker.
Well, that man that grabbed his jersey would be Tony Parker right there. As Chris Paul kind of gets shoved out of the lane right here. And in the pick and roll situation, hey, what the heck? Can't stay in front of him. I might as well hold on to his back.
And that's team foul number 3 called on the Spurs.
Chris Paul is going to have to take over this game offensively, get him back in.
Forced into a difficult shot, did not hit the rim, and it's a 24-second violation.
Well, obviously, we have the luxury of replay right here, and no, from that angle, it doesn't look like it hit the rim. Good call by the officials.
Greg Popovich, Parker and Ginobili in the backcourt. Duncan, Bowen, Oberto on the front line. Here's Duncan, and it's an offensive foul.
Wow, that's a tough call right there. If I'm Tim Duncan, I do have to question that. Was Tyson Chandler set right here, the give and go from Manu Ginobili to Tim Duncan, and that's a pretty good call by official Scott Foster.
That's 3 on Duncan. 4 minutes gone by in the third. San Antonio by 9. Here's West. Rebound swept by Duncan. Ginobili passed on a 3 and hits the 2. And the ball was batted away. No delay of game. Apparently it was inadvertently knocked aside. San Antonio now leads 57-46, matching their biggest lead of the night.
Oh, Ginobili with his first bucket of the third quarter right there. Didn't settle from beyond the arc. Get into the lane. Try to make something happen.
Stojakovic off the spin. Here comes Parker.
Good decision there by Tony Parker. Thought he had a little lane there and saw he didn't.
Ball standing in his tracks to stop Parker. A lot of dribbling here by Duncan. He's able to bank it. Chandler able to save. Paul whipping by Parker. Greg Popovich calls for time.
Chris Paul in the open court, just breezing by Tony Parker. Right here, look at the save by Tyson Chandler. That's an extra possession for your team. Chris Paul comes.
The team that has come out on top in the rebounding category in each game has been the winner.
And right now, the offensive rebounds have been key second shot opportunities for the Spurs.
San Antonio with a 9-point lead. Defensive 3-second violation call on the Hornets. So the Spurs awarded a technical foul. It's called on Tyson Chandler, and Ginobili will shoot the team.
And you know what? It looks like the Hornets really aren't accustomed to this single coverage, because this whole series they've been double teaming Tim Duncan, and right now it almost looks like a deer in headlights, because they're wondering, should we go, or how long is Tim Duncan going to take the dribbles? Do we rotate baseline side? They're not comfortable with single coverage on Tim Duncan.
And it's been a soft double team.
Yes,
you see Stojakovic cheating over, but not actually coming hard. Robert Horry back on the floor, and hearing it from the crowd. Parker way off, but it's taken by Bowen. Shot clock to 2. Duncan gets it off, and it's deflected out. Last touch by San Antonio.
And Tim Duncan has to be careful. He already has 3 fouls. He easily could have picked up a 4th foul over the back of Morris Peterson right there.
As we mentioned earlier, this the biggest game of the history of the Hornets franchise, going back to their days in Charlotte. Here's Paul trying to adjust, this time by Chandler and taken by Ginobili. 6 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. San Antonio up by 10. Bowen is open for 3. Back tap by Horry, but handled by Peterson.
I don't know if Bruce Bowen is going to get a better look than that. Nice rotation pass by Robert Horry.
Chris Paul so tough to cover. Although Parker was able to recover and Paul forced to give it up. West gets inside, rebounded by Horry.
I think the Spurs have kind of answered that myth about the 3rd quarter here.
It has not been a myth. Shot clock to 6. Bowen for 3. A tough break on that and rimmed out.
This lead easily could be 16 points right now if he knocks down those 2 wide open threes. Let's see if the Hornets can capitalize.
Hall with the lob, broken up by Parker, kept it away from Chandler. Although Chandler had the mismatch. Duncan played by West. Duncan lost it and commits a 4th foul. Tim Duncan vulnerable when he puts the ball on the floor, and then the Hornets were able to make their move on him, and that led to the foul, and it leads to Duncan going to the bench.
Well, the Hornets down by 10. Tim Duncan going to the bench with his 4th foul. Let's see what can happen in under 5 minutes left in this 3rd quarter. Can the Hornets make a little push?
San Antonio with their 4th team foul. Hornets with only 1. Offensive foul, illegal pick, the call. So the Spurs get it back.
You got to make sure you're stationary on these screens right here. David West just kind of, as we call that, a hip check. Just moved his hip a little bit.
For West, only his 1st foul. The Hornets have won their last 9 home playoff games. That dates back to the regular season. They've won 18 of their last 19 home games. Look out. As the ball made contact with our monitor, which...
Well, it made more contact with your Starbucks
yes,
coffee.
with my cappuccino, which is bye-bye.
Hey, it's the playoffs. It's Game 7. Things are going to happen.
And a foul is called as Ginobili made his move. Foul on Peterson. That's his 3rd. 2nd team foul on the Hornets. I did enjoy a good portion of that cappuccino, I must
It
say.
was still a little lukewarm.
Yeah. It's nursing it. All right, here's Michael Finley coming on. Finley replacing Robert Horry.
Well, I tell you what, Greg Popovich will be happy if he can get these last 4 minutes out of here with no Tim Duncan. If Monty Ginobili can step up offensively for the Spurs.
Ginobili's pass broken out. Oh, look out. Paul and Finley came together. And the foul is called, a loose ball foul on Finley. And that puts the Spurs over the limit.
Another turnover for the Spurs right here. And an inadvertent pass. Wow, what a shot that Michael Finley kind of took from Chris Paul. Both going for the loose ball.
And Paul to the line, an 85% free throw shooter during the regular season. 0 for 3 tonight. Major League Baseball action returns to TBS this Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Ichiro and the Seattle Mariners taking on Derek Jeter and the struggling New York Yankees. Chip Carey, Ron Darling will have it for you on the subject of baseball. I know Ernie reported at halftime. How about John Lester up at Fenway for the Red Sox, throwing a no-hitter against the Kansas City Royals. 7-0 win for the Red Sox. Finley for 3. Michael Finley, who had dipped down on the rotation, hits a big three-pointer with the Hornets showing some signs with Tim Duncan on the bench after picking up a 4th foul. Spurs back up by 11. Stojakovic way off on that three-pointer.
Wow. You got Tony Parker on you. Put the ball on the floor. Try to post him up.
Stojakovic just not comfortable going off the dribble. Here's Parker. Rebounded by Pargo. Byron Scott has Paul and Pargo now in the backcourt. So Peterson moves up front. West backing on Alberto. Gets it out to Pargo. Here's Peterson from the wing for 3. And the Hornets just not able to knock down shots. They're at 37%, 20 for 54. And just 2 of 8 from downtown. Ginobili pops it back out. Brown felt he stepped out of bounds. Shot clock to 5. Here's Parker. Yes, tough angle shot for Tony Parker. And that leads to a Hornet timeout. Biggest lead of the night for San Antonio with just under 3 to go in the 3rd. Game 7 of the Western Conference semifinal series. The winner advances. In this 3rd quarter, the crowd getting back into it. In this series, the home team has won by an average of 18 points a game. Not the case here tonight, as the Spurs have come up with a good 3rd quarter. West. And the Hornets continue to have their shooting problems. Just 2 of 13 from the field here in the 3rd.
Yeah, but I don't think Byron Scott could have drew it up any better right there. Your 2 best players in a pick and roll. Both players go to Paul. A wide open shot by David West.
Parker. And the rebound comes to Stojakovic. Just under 2 minutes to go here in the 3rd. There's the alley-oop. This time it's Pargo setting it up for Chandler.
And I don't know what San Antonio is thinking. Pargo, who has struggled all series, make him make a basket. You don't need 2 players to come to Gennaro Pargo.
Finley for 3. Yes, so he's hit 2 straight from downtown.
Well, he really struggled in games 5 and 6. At 1 here and 1 in San Antonio. He had hot shooting in games 1 and 2.
Pargo on the drive. Watching Gennaro Pargo, you get the idea he's reluctant to take the outside shot, which he has not been hitting. Spurs up by 12 with a minute left in the 3rd. Marv Albert, Reggie Miller, Craig Sager, Horry for three, yes! That is his second from downtown. And the Spurs now 11 for 21 from three-point land. Those are the numbers they hit on in game number 6.
How about Oberto? He was point blank underneath the basket and had the presence of mind of finding Robert Horry for that three.
And Parker is fouled. It's a non-shooting foul, only the third team foul. Picked up by Paul.
Look at Manu Ginobili finding Oberto right underneath and wide open on the perimeter. That man, Robert Horry, public enemy number 1 here in New Orleans.
Oh, Ginobili went behind the back. Ginobili tried to go glass and he's fouled. Fouled on the act. Pushing foul called on West. The Spurs have opened up a 15-point lead. Now they changed the call. It's Paul called on the foul.
It looked like Chris Paul had kind of pushed Ginobili as he was in the air down low to kind of throw off his balance a little bit. I don't understand this as Greg Popovich brings in Ime Udoka for Michael Finley, who has played fantastic in this third quarter. It's 2 wide open threes.
Well, going for defense here on this New Orleans possession. 3-second differential between the game clock and shot clock. Udoka defending on Stojakovic. And Bowen is back on Paul. Bowen got picked off. Here's Paul slipping it ahead. Nice play. Paul finding West. Final seconds of the third. Ginobili fires one up.
Now, how do you get a spark to get back in the game?
Well, we just got to take it one possession at a time. That's all we can do right now. We got to take every possession like it's our last on both ends of the floor. But I agree. I didn't think we came out with that subversion in the third quarter. We have no choice now.
Thanks, Mons. Go back to Marvin Reggie.
And as this fourth quarter opens up, Ginobili not able to hit, but on the back tap, it's kept alive. The Spurs with a 20-14 edge over the Hornets. In the third quarter, here's Horry for 3. He's hit 2, and Thomas gets to it. Another offensive rebound for Kurt Thomas. The Hornets shot only 5 of 17 from the field in the third quarter. Parker backs it up. He's played on a switch by Chandler. Ginobili for 3.
Oh, they dodged the bullet right there. 43-27 on the boards, 12-7 on the offensive boards for the Spurs, 19-3 in bench points. That's where Byron Scott is going to look at this game and where it changed.
Tim Duncan getting set to check back in. Here is Paul. Chris Paul now 16 points, 10 assists. But Greg Popovich getting the effort from his bench. Byron Scott has not. Here's Parker. Rebounded by Paul. Foul on Parker. Looking to stop the ball and make contact with the chest of Paul.
That's actually a pretty good foul by Tony Parker right there. You don't want Chris Paul to get going in that open court because his last line of defense was Manu Ginobili, and he was going to go right by him.
Third foul on Parker. It's a non-shooting affair. Hornets have Chandler with Weston Stojakovic up front. Paul and Pargo at the guards. Now Bowen is back on Paul. The lead for Chandler. Beautifully done. Chandler thought he was fouled. The Hornets now down by 11. Spurs have led by as many as 17.
What a luxury Tyson Chandler had. Just throw it to the rim and let him finish.
Duncan rebounded by Stojakovic. Hornets showing some signs here. You heard Byron Scott saying there was no sense of urgency on the part of his team in the third quarter. Hall is fouled. No, a traveling violation. He's called for steps.
I don't know if he took one extra step or he dragged the last one. You see right here, nice crossover in the lane against Kurt Thomas. And yeah, that was an extra step.
Parker, yes, used the pick set by Thomas. Kurt Thomas has played very well tonight.
And Parker's going to have to either hard show or they're going to have to trap and try to get the ball out of Tony Parker's hand.
Pargo, only his second field goal, his first from the perimeter.
But I don't like that. I mean, because you miss it, that's a rush shot. I know he made it and all, but that's a terrible shot. Parker
from Duncan. Nice pass from Duncan. 13 points for Parker, and the Spurs lead 75-62. The Hornets not in a position where they can trade baskets here in the fourth quarter. Pargo with the runner.
That's more like it right there. You pump fake, make him take the ball off the dribble.
And Greg Popovich upset, takes a timeout with 8.5 remaining here in the fourth quarter. Spurs by 11. A look at Bourbon Street here in the Big Easy.
In the arc, a big lift for the Spurs in this pivotal Game 7.
San Antonio's led by as many as 17. They now have an 11-point advantage. You can log on to TNT Overtime at NBA.com for more Doctors Looking Good performances. Here's Ime Udoka just checked back in. So Udoka with his third field goal. And Ime with his second three of the game. Hall set it up for Chandler. Tyson Chandler with 13 points. 4 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter. In the seventh deciding game of the Western Conference semifinal series. All tied at 3. The winner goes on to face the Lakers in the Western Conference final. Parker turns the corner on Chandler. Udoka run down by Pargo. Pargo got the step. Gennaro Pargo has come on.
He's starting to show life here a little bit late. He's doing a good job of not settling for those quick, wild shots. Doing a good job of penetrating, getting into the teeth of the defense.
The Hornets 6 of 6 from the field in the fourth quarter. Duncan way off an air ball.
Pargo right here gets into the lane right here. Nice little floater over Tim Duncan.
Paul with the step. The Hornets have cut that lead down to 8.
You need stops at the defensive end if you're the Hornets.
Parker pulls it back. Good hustle by Udoka. Duncan is fouled by West.
Another hustle play by another role player for the Spurs. Udoka doing a good job with yet another offensive rebound for the Spurs.
Tim Duncan is 4 for 4 at the line. National coverage of the NBA playoffs continues tomorrow on ESPN. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final. Pistons and the Celtics up in Boston. Coverage starts 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time and will include the NBA Draft Lottery. And then Wednesday, right here on TNT, Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Winner of tonight's game will go up against Kobe Bryant and the Los Angeles Lakers. And then Saturday on ABC, Game 3 of the Celtics and the Pistons. So Duncan hitting his free throws, 6 for 6 from the stripe. Meanwhile, the Hornets 7 of 7 from the field here in the fourth quarter to work their way back into it. They're down by 10. Oh, it's picked off by Udoka. A rare turnover for Chris Paul.
How about Udoka? He's been everywhere.
Ginobili missed on a three. Manos have a hot hand from beyond the arc. Pargo, you see Ginobili reaching out. That won't count. Foul on Ginobili.
Number 20, Manu Ginobili.
So the Spurs with their second team foul. Ginobili picks up his second. It's a non-shooting foul.
How about a big three here by Peja somewhere? They're not even looking for him offensively.
Paul is open for three. Chris Paul, 8 of 17. Ginobili had to pull it back against Paul. Oh, foul is called, offensive foul with Ginobili trying to shed Paul and made contact.
And Chris Paul gave Manu Ginobili a taste of his own medicine in the flopping drill right there.
A timeout taken. It'll be New Orleans back in possession. They're down by 10. 7 of 8 after the poor shooting third. Rare scenario with the Spurs outscoring the Hornets in the third quarter. Pargo on a catch and shoot. And it's taken by Duncan as Chandler tried to back tap. Looked like he jammed a finger in the process.
Yeah, it's kind of too early to be going for the home run play if you're the Hornets. Dwindle the lead down 2 by 2.
Pargo going for the steal. Ginobili, as a result, got the step and he's fouled. He's hit by Chandler. That's the second committed by Tyson Chandler. So Ginobili to the line. So a turn of events in this one with San Antonio coming up with the impressive third quarter, but the Hornets able to get back into it with the hot shooting here on the fourth.
Well, I'm more impressed by the bench of the San Antonio Spurs. Both benches really have been non-existent in this playoff series. And in Game 7, Udoka, Finley, Robert Horry coming up huge for Greg Popovich.
And Michael Finley the last couple of games with a 1 for 6, a 1 for 6, his most productive appearance. Game 4, that 20-point win at San Antonio, hit 5 of 7, including 2 threes. He's hit big threes here tonight, as has Horry, as has Ginobili. Pargo, Alberto with the rebound.
You've got Chris Paul on the floor, and you've got David West, who hasn't touched the basketball in a while offensively. Why is Jannero Pargo taking shots?
Spurs swinging it effectively, but Ginobili way off. Fielded by Chandler.
That's Udoka's fault. He should have took that shot instead of swinging it to Manu Ginobili.
Down to 4.5 remaining in this fourth quarter. And that is a kick ball. So the Hornets maintain possession. They'll have 14 on the shot clock.
Tony Parker is telling Steve Javie that wasn't a kick. I deflected it with my hand.
Alberto jumping out at Paul. Shot clock to 5. Pargo put it behind the back and is fouled by Duncan. That's 5 on Tim Duncan.
Well, now what does Greg Popovich do? Does he take him out? A little over 4 minutes left in this game, or does he ride Tim Duncan to the finish line?
Pargo to the line for the first time. Well, this July, the #1 cable series of all time returns to TNT. Get a confession with Kira Sedgwick as the closer. Watch new episodes beginning this July on TNT. We know drama.
Well, Greg Popovich knows Tim Duncan. He knows what kind of player he is. He's a player that can play with 5 fouls. I think he's going to elect to leave him in for the stretch run.
You can see Greg took a long walk along the sideline to think about it, and he's staying with Duncan. Ginobili lost his balance. Paul tried to take it away, and a foul is called on Paul. Scott Foster makes the call.
And Byron Scott is livid right now because he's saying it's a loose ball. Chris Paul has every opportunity to be aggressive and try to get it, try to go after the basketball. Right here, Ginobili stumbles. Right now, it is a loose ball. Chris Paul has every right to go after it.
Instead, it's number 4 on Paul. Shot clock to 5. Duncan has to fire. Alberta trying to back tap. Handled by Pargo. Pargo for 3. That's a huge shot by Gennaro Pargo to cut the San Antonio lead down to 6. 3:20 to play in the 4th. Ginobili way off. Rebound Chandler. Pargo got the step. And let's see what the call is here. Greg Popovich looking for an offensive foul call, but the officials say no.
He's not asking for an offensive foul. He's saying, what about Ginobili at the other end? He drove the same way that Pargo just did and didn't get the call. And Pargo is at the free throw line with the same contact at the other end.
Foul committed by Alberto. Pargo at 88% free throw shooter during the regular season, and he's come to life after struggling throughout this series. Pargo 5 of 9, 14 points. Hit that 3 a moment ago. 12 of his 14 have come here in the 4th. The San Antonio lead is down to 4 as we come up on 3 minutes to play in the 4th. Tim Duncan playing with 5 fouls. Parker blocked and a foul. Chandler looking for the rejection, and he made contact. Well, this sets up a terrific finish. A game that has had all the emotions that you'd expect in a 7th and deciding game.
Like that.
At the line, and he's given the Spurs an 82-77 lead with just under 3 to go in this 4th quarter.
Oh, plenty of time if you're Byron Scott in the Hornets. And right now, Pargo, who has caught fire.
Some pressure being shown here by the Spurs as Stojakovic brings it across. Stojakovic from way downtown and way off. Chandler not able to get to it. And the ball back to the Spurs.
That's not the best shot opportunity if you're Byron Scott in the Hornets. Pargo has it going a little bit. Put the ball in Chris Paul's hands and try to find David West.
Spurs just 3 for 15 from the floor in the 4th quarter. Ginobili, the handoff to Duncan, going at Chandler. Stojakovic rebound. Pargo's had the hot hand. Gets the step and is blocked. Jump ball is called. He was tied up.
Well, was he tied up by Bruce Bowen or did he travel?
Well, San Antonio looking for the traveling call.
No, that's a good call. Bruce Bowen got the shot block right there.
Bowen with several inches on Pargo. We come up on 2 minutes to play here in the 4th quarter. San Antonio clinging to a 6-point lead. They've led by as many as 17. It's run down by Paul.
Nice effort there by Pargo.
Shot clock to 6. Pargo. Back tap played by Stojakovic. He shoots. That was a three-point attempt. And Duncan not able to hang on. Pargo back on it. We're down to a minute and 45 remaining in this fourth quarter. West. New Orleans having their opportunities. Pargo knocks down a three. It's a three-point San Antonio lead.
Well, when you get 4 opportunities at a look at the basket, something good is going to happen.
Both teams have 2 full timeouts and a 20. A minute 20 to go in the fourth. 7th and deciding game. Duncan. Rebound, Paul. Pargo looking to tie. Duncan with the rebound.
Wide open look for Pargo, who just knocked down a 3 on the previous possession.
Final minute of the fourth quarter. Parker. Yes.
Oh, cash money.
A clutch shot for Tony Parker to extend the lead with 50 seconds to play in this fourth quarter.
Look at Tony Parker telling Tim Duncan to kind of move the screen down. He felt that the guards were going underneath there. You move the screen down, you get a cleaner look at the basket.
A 20-second timeout called by Byron Scott. The Spurs shooting just 3 for 17 in this fourth quarter before that jumper by Parker. And for the first time in this series, we have a game going down
to the wire.
Yeah, right to the final minutes.
Well, right now it's not time, as you see the point differential in games 1 through 6. This is not time for the Hornets to panic and jack up a 3 right here. A quick deuce will do the same thing and let your defense, which has been pretty good at home all year, speak for itself.
Hornets able to advance to the front court. We're down to 50 seconds left in the fourth. Spurs up by 5. The ball back in the hands of Paul. See, Alberto stepped away, did not want to pick up a foul for a possible three-point play. And now Paul gives the foul on Ginobili to stop the clock for Paul. That is number 5.
Chris Paul had the right idea here. You try to get a quick 2. He gets into the lane right here, and he felt that there was going to be contact with Alberto rotating over. Alberto didn't want to pick up the foul and kind of shied away from the contact.
Hornets over the foul limit. Ginobili 4 or 5 at the line, an 86% free throw shooter. San Antonio led by as many as 17. They were able to respond to that 12-0 run with a 13-1 spurt of their own. The Hornets moving within 3. They now trail by 7. Here's Pargo. Spurs do not want to foul. Pargo comes up short. And Stojakovic reaching out to commit the foul. That'll put Ginobili back at the line. We're down to 32 seconds remaining. A reminder, the NBA on TNT continues. Coming up next, the award-winning Inside the NBA will have live post-game reaction and analysis. And then Wednesday, it'll be Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals from Staples in LA. Coverage beginning at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Unless there is a miraculous turn right here, it will be the Lakers and the Spurs meeting in the Western Conference Final Series. The Hornets take a timeout with 32 seconds left. The Spurs up 89-80. We'll be back to the New Orleans Arena after this.
Look at it.
Okay. So much for 82%.
Boy, Fargo had a wide open look at that.
Yeah.
And just knocked down one, too. You know?
They did a great job on Chris Paul, though. You know what I mean? He just didn't. Well, it appears that this magical season for the Hornets will come to a close as you look at the state of the franchise. Franchise in excellent shape, 56 wins during the regular season. 3 unrestricted free agents. Chris Anderson, who has not dressed. Ryan Bowen, who hardly plays. And Bonzi Wells has been coming off the bench. Now, this is a franchise that began its play in Charlotte back in 1987 with the NBA awarding one of 4 expansion teams to George Shinn. And the Hornets actually began in the 88-89 season. So this is their 20th year in the NBA. In their first 19 years, they never won more than 54 games in a season. In the first 19 years, they never won a 7-game playoff series, and they have turned things around in so many ways, attracting the attention of the league. There's a Pargo firing from way downtown, kept alive. West, again, the Spurs step away, do not want to foul. And the Hornets have certainly attracted a local fan base. Again, the Hornets give a foul to stop the clock. Just 2 years ago, it looked like this franchise was bound to Oklahoma City permanently as they evacuated New Orleans following Hurricane Katrina, found a temporary home, and now the team has returned with a style and success that should fill this arena for many years to come. A standing ovation for Chris Paul, who picked up number 6. The numbers on Paul: 18 points, 14 assists, and I thought the Spurs did an excellent job containing Chris Paul here tonight.
Well, and you look at his numbers, it's a near triple-double, but how about one of the new faces of the league in Chris Paul? And, what he has done this year, second in MVP voting behind Kobe Bryant, really willing this team and bringing this city together, all on the shoulders of Chris Paul and what he has done for this franchise.
Meanwhile, the Spurs able to come back and win the series after dropping the first 2 games. There's Pargo coming up short, and it's a rare road victory in this season's conference semifinal round. The road team winning for only the 3rd time in 25 games. Standing ovation for the New Orleans Hornets from the home crowd as time has run out, and the San Antonio Spurs have defeated the New Orleans Hornets 91-82 to win Game 7 as the defending NBA champs now move on to the conference final to go up against Kobe Bryant and the Los Angeles Lakers. You can visualize Phil Jackson and his staff going to the videotape, getting ready.
Well,